I am here to say happy anniversary to Naked in Motion. We have been around for 7 years officially. That is bananas to me. 7 years ago on this day, January 27th, 2016, in New York City, Naked in Motion held its first naked yoga class. And now 7 years later, here we are doing something. I guess you're about to find out, because I'm about to tell you, because everything has changed. It's all different now. And we're going to figure it out because the pandemic happened and here we are on the other side of it. Are we really? Never mind. Let's not go there. This is a remnant of our former life. This screen used to live at Seattle Yoga Arts for privacy purposes, and that studio is no longer, like all of our other studios, so it now lives in my house, and I thought I would cocoon myself in it to make some big announcements. Are you ready? I guess some of you might have no idea who the hell I even am or what's going on. So, like, in one sentence, Naked in Motion. We had naked yoga classes in Seattle, Boston, and New York. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, pandemic happens. We're on our Patreon. We're only doing online stuff. And then Willow here, I completely burned out and could not continue. So I've been on a little bit of a break. Some of you all know that I've been taking a sabbatical to heal some of that grief. The goal was to clear space for creativity, and maybe I would create a different idea of what I wanted to do, entirely unrelated. But as it turns out, I still really love naked yoga, and I want to keep doing it. So, lucky you, here we are, we're back, we're coming back into business. So let's first talk about Naked in Motion itself. I've been working at the end of the new year to take care of a lot of the boring paperwork stuff that you don't need to know about because it's super boring. So still working on some of that stuff. The one thing that I knew for sure was I'm making my beginner's guide workshop. Started making my beginner's guide to naked yoga workshop to help introduce people to their own at-home naked yoga practice. So I have put together a team, a videographer with a small crew to make this happen. We have the date scheduled. If all goes well, it's happening the first week of February. I've also decided to include other people in it, so I have other local yoga teachers coming in to demonstrate the physical movement part of it. The way that it's turning out, I think it's actually going to be pretty widely applicable to a lot of folks, pretty beneficial to a lot of people, even if you're not like new to naked yoga. Maybe you've already done a class before, or the idea does not scare you. I mean, this is what the class is designed for. It's to reaching folks who are like, oh my god, I could never do that. But even if you could see yourself doing that, or you already have, it's so much bigger than just taking the clothes off. It's really just a deep dive into like, why is it so hard to take the clothes off? So we're really getting into like body shame and other things, education stuff about naked yoga itself and why we would even do it. But it's a larger exploration of like, what do we literally do with the thoughts that happen in our brain, especially the ones that are about our bodies? Some of you might still want to check it out. As far as future plans for Naked in Motion, I know a lot of you have been emailing and contacting us about wanting to do in-person classes again. Totally hear that. I want to too. The current plan is that I'm not going to be able to go back to the way things were with weekly classes in multiple cities and multiple instructors. It's, financially wasn't sustainable at the time, at least. And after everything we've been through with the unexpectedness of the pandemic and everything that's been lost, I'm just not ready to do that all again. But the classes in person still are really magical, like a really important part of the experience overall. So I am going to be starting teaching in person this year, but there will be more pop-up classes, more ad hoc. Probably will be trying to do some in Boston and New York. That's the goal anyway. I found a studio in Seattle that I can use, so that's already in the works. It's gonna take me a little bit of time to get it all up and running. The idea is that they will be more special events that don't happen as frequently, and there are a lot of opportunities in the future for growth there, but there's just literally only so much that I can do. Even the process of getting people involved so that they can do that work is like a whole other thing that I would have to do. I am just gonna ask for your patience as I try to tackle the biggest priorities and figure out how to jump back into this world, and we will just see how it goes. If you want to contribute to future efforts to get in-person classes going more regularly, the best thing you can do is support us on Patreon. The more financial resources we have, the more we're able to do things like the in-person classes that typically aren't as financially sustainable, but are just so magical and important. And that's part of why we're starting to invest a little bit more seriously in more permanent online content. So that's sort of the direction we're focused on immediately. And then hopefully moving forward with some more classes for y'all to come to in person I already said that 1,000 times. Speaking of Patreon, that's been going on throughout the whole pandemic, even before the pandemic, and I changed the way it's set up for a little bit while I was going on my break. Right now you can pledge as little as $5 and get access to the entire library of instructional naked yoga content. So that's a pretty screaming deal because as you'll find in the table of contents, there is a lot and it is very well organized, so you can find some good stuff. For now, that's just going to stay exactly as it is because I don't have the brain power to figure out what to do with it yet. We'll probably have to go back to some form of tiered system later, but I'm still hoping to continue to make it really accessible for those with smaller budgets. Probably soon I'm going to start adding back the bi-weekly update videos where I just talk about what's going on behind the scenes. Don't know when, but soon, because I actually have stuff to talk about now. We're making t-shirts for this video that I'm shooting. If they're cool, we might start selling merch on Patreon. We might start selling perch on Patreon. Merchandise you might be able to buy soon in future. So anyway, check that out. Patreon.com/nakedemotion. A lot of great stuff for you, and in return, you help me do all of this stuff that I'm about to do, which there's more. So part number 2 here is Soma Locus. Bear with me, I'm going to explain this to you a little bit. Soma is Greek for body. Locus is Latin for a specific or abstract place. Coming up with this new business that's actually going to encompass naked emotion. The mission is essentially the same. We're trying to help people find more compassion for themselves and develop healthier and friendlier relationships with their bodies. With Soma Locus, we're moving out of specifically the nude world. Naked emotion will be then one part of it. It'll be like an extreme way of working on your relationship with your body, which is not going to be for everyone. So often what's happening in a place, locus, it can be like a meeting, like a place where people are coming together. So we're focused on this idea of body acceptance and welcoming all bodies. We are literally creating a Soma Locus when we are having a naked emotion class in person or online, or if we have some other clothed classes. But my favorite part of it is this idea of like an abstract place of things coming together. My favorite way to describe how I feel when I'm really in a state of self-compassion is it feels like when all of the different parts of myself, brain and body, or just all the different parts of myself that tend to be sort of warring against each other. You know, there's this part of my brain that's like judging this part of my brain, and then this part's like telling this part that it hurts, and then this part's yelling back at this part because like, why does this hurt? And it's a whole thing. It's like when all the different parts of me come together and are on the same side and are cheering for each other, coming together to this one place like a union. Union is yoga. I don't know. I just think it's really cool. If you don't like it, I don't care, because that's what it's going to be called. Sorry. And with Soma Locus, I hope to explore body acceptance in a bit more of a nuanced way. Yes, using some yoga, asana, and meditation to give folks, information about literally what to do about body shaming thoughts, and maybe even introducing other ways that other people develop healthier relationships with their bodies. But I also want to contribute to this larger conversation by bringing in things that aren't talked about as much. I want to interview other people who are really more involved in other areas to figure out how different things can create body shame that we work through. Everything from like STIs to skin conditions to plastic surgery, all kinds of things like this that are more than just body shape and size. One of the goals being to like be able to show all these different experiences so that all of you out there can be like, oh, I have that experience. AKA, I'm not alone, because you're not. And yeah, and here's what we can do about it. So anyway, that's going to start as a YouTube channel. It'll probably eventually have its own Patreon. My goal is to not be an influencer. I do not want to sell people stuff. And then right now we have an Instagram. There's literally nothing on it. We do have it though, so it's at Soma Locus, SOMALOCUS. Please follow us there, even though we don't have anything going on, because Naked Emotions Instagram got shut down for sexually explicit content, even though we followed all of their guidelines and there's really nothing sexual about any of our stuff anyway. Naked Emotion has had a really hard time dodging little things like this, trying to spread the word and advertise itself. Sometimes even just the name makes it impossible to publish anything. So in making Naked Emotion a part of Soma Locus, we'll be posting information about Naked Emotion and the broader umbrella group here. But it won't be its own at. What do you call that? It's an at. Its own mention. That's when you mention it. Whatever, it won't be its own like handle. So go there, sign up just to be ready for when we start announcing more things. And a lot of it will start with the beginner's guide stuff, and then hopefully want to get more into this other educational content later this year. A side note, I am not going to be, the sun is has finally decided to show up. I'm just gonna try to wait it out. I'm not gonna be doing any private lessons in person or online, at least for the time being. I know I've been working with a lot of you over the years, and that has been really awesome, and I miss doing those, but I don't have the energy to devote to that with everything else that I have going on. I don't know when those will be available. I'm just having to make a lot of tough decisions about where my focus goes and where my attention goes. So that's what I have to say for now. I wanted to give you the general direction where we're going. I have so many ideas of things that I want to do, and I'm so excited about it that I typically get too excited about it, and so then I, overwork myself and burn out. So the hardest part for me getting back into this rhythm has been to try to still move a little slower and still not over-identify with my work to the point where it becomes my life. And it is wildly difficult. It's a lesson that I have to relearn like every 5 hours, pretty much. Sometimes every 3 hours or every 1 hour. I really hope that as we move forward into this new phase of Naked Emotion and Soma Locus, the introduction of Soma Locus, that we can continue to do this work that we're doing and help ourselves and help each other be kinder to ourselves and each other. I'm curious about what you have to say, your thoughts, but I don't allow YouTube comments because YouTube comments are a very scary place, especially for women, and I'm white. Just email instead. You gotta go the extra step of sending us an email to be like, hi, these are my thoughts. For those of you who have been with us from the very beginning, who have literally been there since day one on our first class, hello. A big happy anniversary to you. Thanks so much for sticking it out with us this whole time. Thanks to our patrons for the support. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Okay, let's do this. Ow, my spine.